Okay, so I think I'm gonna say way too. Oh shit! I had like a thing I came up with at brunch.
That should be the intro.
There it is. I'm gonna do way too. Oh shit! I had a thing I came up with at brunch.
Hello, and welcome to Way Too Broad, a podcast that is a safe space for friends to talk about things that make them sound crazy. I'm Hannah, and with me today are my co-hosts, Erin and Ben. Hi,
Hello.
Erin.
Hey,
You're
Ben.
Hey, what's up?
Ben.
Oh, that's Ben.
Hey, Hannah.
Hi.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, guys. So, we've never done this before, but the basic premise is that I always wanted to start a podcast, but I and most of the people I know, our interests are just like all over the place, and on a week-to-week basis, we care deeply about very different things. So I could never pick a theme. So we're not going to pick a theme.
No themes
We're
allowed.
just going to go where the weeks take us. Yeah. So I've got mine.
What's yours,
Who wants
Hannah?
to go first?
I think you should go.
Go first, Hannah. Go first. It's your
Go.
baby.
Is it your baby? Is that?
Well, it's not my
Is this how you're
baby.
announcing you're
Spoiler
pregnant by
alert.
starting a podcast?
No. Oh, that would be weird. No. Okay. Well, mine's a little meta. Maybe it's a good place to start. I've been very obsessed with the McElroy Brothers,
Oh, nice.
which I know I've mentioned them to both of you guys before. But it hasn't gone away since I've mentioned it. So
Guys, if McElroy Brothers, if you're listening, not obsessed in like a she'll kill you way. But
not in that way.
she'd be like totally
In a-
chill if she met you.
So what I wanted to ask you guys to do was go to McElroyshows.com because I just want you to see like the amount of content that these three brothers and their relations are putting out into the world right now.
Holy shit.
So I think I counted maybe 13
Whoa.
things just on this page. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18,
Schmanners.
23. Not 50. Yeah, there's like 23 different things on here, and it's like they each have a podcast with their wives. They have several podcasts together. They have a podcast with their dad. They have a TV show now on Seeso. And what first caught my interest about them, other than the fact that they're like super hilarious, is that they seem to just be three like random brothers from West Virginia. Like, I'm pretty sure they gained notoriety through their My Brother and Me podcast. Mm-hmm. And now at least one of them is making a complete career out of podcasting.
That's really cool.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so that was like kind of what first caught my interest. And then I got real deep into the Adventure Zone, which is their Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which is just so very good. But lately, I've been noticing that I've been projecting a lot of their sibling dynamics, or at least like thinking that I'm observing a lot of interesting sibling dynamics between the three of them, because they remind me of myself and my brothers. So, like for instance, I've noticed that Justin is the oldest brother and Griffin is the youngest brother, and they do a lot of stuff together. Like they work at the same place. They work for Polygon.
Shit, that's meta as fuck.
Yeah, they work at the same place, and they go. Yeah, because we just got jobs right near each other. But they produce a lot of content together too. But their middle brother, Travis, he makes a ton of podcasts. Like I think more than both of them, but he does most of them with people outside of his family, like friends of his. So I just thought it was interesting. Like they all get along really well and they're super close, but they've also got like these almost like typical family dynamics. Like also, my friend Matt pointed out to me last night, because he's also a big fan of theirs, that the oldest one, Justin, like, often will stubbornly not go along with jokes he doesn't think are funny from Travis from the middle brother. And then and it's like Ben is laughing because like that is like me and our middle brother Lucas, like, to a T. And also when Lucas was younger and he was really trying to find his funny, I was not nice to him about it at all.
You were so mean to him all the time.
I feel like you were like
all of us were, to be honest.
I feel like you were forging his humor in the fires of Mordor. Like, it was like all the better for it, you know.
Honestly, Hannah says that sometimes, and Lucas gets pissed because like he feels like he was legitimately kind of traumatized as a kid by how mean we were whenever he said something wasn't funny.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was the point that I tried to make.
And Hannah's like, I did you a favor because you're funny now.
I think you did. I think you did the world a favor. You know. Like, what if
he's very funny now.
He's very
really funny.
You did. You guys did a great job. Congratulations.
I mean, we take full credit for him being hilarious.
Thank you, and you're welcome, Lucas. Oh, he's gonna love this.
That's a good obsession.
Yeah.
Three grown men. It's a good thing.
I think the other thing that is like part of it is that I've recently realized that Griffin, who's the youngest, is almost exactly my age. Well, he's almost exactly my husband's age, but so like we have a lot of the same cultural references. So I don't know. That makes it interesting too. I don't know. He makes really compelling content to me. Like, he also does a lot of YouTube videos for Polygon, and they're just like crazy fun.
What's Polygon?
It's like a video game website sort of thing. They do like playthroughs and stuff on games and gaming stuff. But he also does stuff like something called Monster Factory. Ben, have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't.
It's like him and Justin. Speaking of stuff that they do together, the oldest and the youngest. They go into video games that have a character builder in them, and they just try to make the most like terrifying, fucked up creature that they can.
That's what we used to do with Spore.
Well, not terrifying actually, just ugly, like something that they can love and give like a story to, and make a character like a lot of character choices with, and then they go and start playing the game as that character, like acting as they decided this personality is. So like the first one, they made a green skinned thing in Dark Souls, and decided that he was Squirtle. And Squirtle.
That's awesome.
Oh, and then there's one other thing that I want to say that I find very refreshing about them, is that they're not like clean comedy. Like they use lots of profanity and stuff, as I think we should feel comfortable doing as we're like setting the tone for this.
Mm-hmm.
But
frick yeah.
They yeah. Cuss yeah. But they
This is gonna turn into a cluster hug of cusses.
But they like have an intense focus on being nice also. Like they don't make mean jokes about each other or about other people. So I enjoy that.
I really like that. I think that's
totally
makes them endearing. Right? Yeah, I like that a lot. I like
Have you guys watched Mike Birbiglia's new comedy special about jokes? It's really interesting. He talks about how like jokes are always at someone's expense, but they don't need to be. Like, just because jokes are always at someone else's expense doesn't mean they have to be, like, rude or mean. You know, it's a very interesting
What do you mean
take.
They're always at someone's expense?
Because, like, I think he was basically saying, like, there's always someone that will be offended by any joke.
That's probably true.
I don't know if he necessarily meant that, like, they're always directed at someone else. Well, I think that's kind of what he was saying. It's just because there's always someone offended by a joke you make doesn't mean you have to target your jokes at those people to be funny. If that makes sense. Like, you can be funny and offend people, but not directly offend them on purpose and just be mean.
Right, not you don't have to attack them for them to be offended.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
In true obsessive style, I have a story about that does tie directly back to the McElroy Brothers.
Oh, that's so great. Do tell.
No, but they were just talking about. Oh, never mind. I can't tell that. There's spoilers in that.
Oh, no.
You guys should listen to the Adventure Zone. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So never mind.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about it offline after you've listened to it.
Is the spoiler alert that you have them in your basement right now? Are they being?
I don't even have a basement, so it's just on you, Erin. They're in my crawl space.
I knew it. That kind of leads tangentially into my current obsession. If we're ready to pivot,
I'm excited. I don't know what it is at all.
So my current obsession, I'm obsessed with a few things currently, which include Broadway musicals and fiber intake. But my current one that I thought I'd talk to you about today is I'm really obsessed with stand-up comedy right now. Speaking of Mike Birbiglia. You know this, Hannah, but I'm taking a stand-up class right now, and so I'm like obsessively like thinking about it and watching stand-up to the point where last night I was at a party and I met this guy and I like knew right away that he like does like amateur stand-up. It was like I feel like I'm being groomed to like see them in the wild, and like see them.
Why?
You mean like you could just tell immediately?
You could just tell just like how he was. I was like, oh, this guy's into stand-up comedy. So I hope he.
And
Were you right? He does stand up.
Yeah,
He's into it.
He's into it. He's like he writes a lot, but doesn't do any performing. I think like I don't know why not, but yeah, it was like we bonded a little bit. It was nice.
But I'm curious about how could you tell?
Just like the way he was, signals? Like just like he would like go into a character or something and it would be like really funny, or just he would like twist the way somebody said something into like a really funny joke in like a really practiced way. Like I don't know, I was just like, oh, I think this guy might do stand up, and yeah, it was really interesting.
But yeah, I'm like, said in a really practiced way, that just sounded like how you act a lot of the time. Like I when you said you're doing stand up lessons, like it made perfect sense to me. I feel like that I'm surprised you haven't done that sooner, because like you're so good at storytelling and like taking what people, like you just said, like taking what people say and turning it into some kind of funny joke.
It's really interesting. I feel like I've had to like work really hard at it, like so far in the class, because there are like a lot of like techniques and stuff that are maybe not like super intuitive. But it's been really fun, and so then as a product of this, I've been watching a lot of like stand-up like specials. I've been hacking into Hannah's Seeso account and watching a ton of stand-up. So
you're a true hacker.
Hacksaw. So I'm kind of also obsessed with like Tig Notaro and Cameron Esposito right now. Like,
oh yeah.
Have you watched Tig Notaro's? What's the name of her show? Her like series that she came out with?
One Mississippi.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that.
It's really good.
It's good. It's a lot like darker than I thought it would be, but it's like it's good. It's really good.
I mean, Hannah, you've heard Tig Notaro's like really famous hour-long comedy special thing that Louis C.K. promoted for a while.
Live,
it's so good. One Mississippi is basically the series version of that. Like it's that story, but told as a show.
Well, I was telling Erin when I was down there recently that when all of that stuff was happening to Tig, I was she had a podcast that she doesn't do it anymore, but she had a podcast called Professor Blastoff, and it started out and most of the time continued to be just like a podcast about her. Her and her two friends, David Huntsberger and my favorite one, whose name I can't remember.
Kyle something?
Yeah, Kyle something.
Given name.
And they would. It was almost like this a little bit. Like there was a weird, silly like sci-fi premise around it, but they would like pick a topic for every week, just a random topic, and they would have an expert guest talk, and they would all just like talk and make jokes about it and stuff, and so it was a comedy podcast, but when Tig would be out, like, just gone for weeks at a time. And then when she came back, she would just give him an update on what was going on. And it was like, first she was gone because she was off, like, at her mom's funeral, and stuff, and back home. And is she really from Mississippi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she was out again because she got sick and stuff. And so, like, people, myself included, were, like, following along with her like, situation in real time. And
that's really neat.
It was, which is a really cool thing about podcasts. And it's funny because a few years ago, this guy named Harris Whittles died.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a common guest on a lot of comedy podcasts that I listened to, and he was one of my favorites. Like, he was like the type of guest that I would. So
funny.
Yeah, he was so. Yeah, Ben knew about him too, and he was like he like I would seek out. I would, like, immediately play anything that had his name on it because I just really enjoyed his, like, sense of humor. He was very deadpan, and he got very, very personal into things sometimes. Like, he was a guest on a couple podcasts where he actually talked about his life, and so I knew he had an addiction problem, and he died from a drug overdose, and it was like really. It was this really weird, like, limbo to be in as a fan of his because, like, I knew so much about him and, like, I knew who his friends were and stuff and all this, but I didn't know, like, there was nothing to do with all that I was feeling. Like, there was nobody I could reach out to.
Oh, wow.
Except, like, on Twitter.
Right.
You know, because I couldn't, like, what do they care?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess, like, maybe if you see all the mentions, you're like, oh, he brought a lot of people joy. Like, that's something, but... Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting because you really start to feel like you know these people. And some people are more, like, share more than others. You know, some people are kind of always on if there's something recording.
Right. I feel like you can, like, surmise somebody's commute based on, like, how much they talk to you about podcasts, you know? Like, I feel like, you know, you have a friend who's like, oh my God, have you heard this one and this one? And you're like, you have a 40-minute commute, don't you? You know?
My dad last night, he was like, when do I have time to listen to podcasts? I was like...
He drives like an hour to work.
I know! He has the same commute that I do.
What does he do during that time?
He listens, he's like, that's my NPR time. I'm like...
So that's kind of podcasting.
I'm like, Dad, listen, you could spend your entire 40 minutes never hearing the words President Trump once. Like, and you want to...
You already ruined that for this podcast, though. Thanks, Hannah.
Sorry.
God.
Well, I can cut that.
Not if he's listening. Not if he's listening to this podcast.
I should start. I'm gonna have an hour-long commute for the summer, so I'm probably gonna start listening to more podcasts and stuff. The new the new Serial podcast came out. Yeah, you just were thinking of the same thing there. S-Town just came out.
What's S-Town?
I want to start listening to that too.
Did you listen to Serial?
Oh, you know, Molly was telling me about this. My wife was telling me about this.
It's a new one.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know anything about it, and that's good.
Yeah.
So it's
best hard, it would be hard to explain anyway, but you should just listen to it.
Cool.
It's all out at once. So.
I'm going to go out of my way to, like, have a bigger commute so I can fit in more podcasts. I'm going to drive to work, back home, and then back to work just to fit in a couple.
What is your commute, Erin? How long is it?
It's probably like 15 minutes. But that's including
that's awesome.
That's including like parking and probably walking into the door. So, you know, if I did it on my phone or something.
I dragged us back to Podcast Town, but I want to know what are the next steps out? Like, you taking this class, and then what are you going to do?
Oh, you know, I don't know. I've been having a good time, and I've been enjoying, like, I had homework this week to, like, write a little set based on a story. Oh, you'll enjoy this. I had to write a set based on a small story. It's only like a 3-minute set. And what you're supposed to do is, like, write the story down as it happens and then tear it apart and find all the places that you can, like, heighten and exaggerate. And so the story I went with is actually from your wedding, Hannah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and just, like, briefly, like, the story, the actual true story is simply that I was a bridesmaid and I because I wasn't, you know, obviously taking pictures during the ceremony, I took a picture, like, right after the ceremony of you and your husband under your wedding arbor, and put it on Facebook. And Molly, my wife, who is at her cousin's wedding in another state, her mom and sister saw the picture and thought that it was me and your brand new husband, like me in your wedding dress, but not like real quick, not like, oh, you know what, they probably look alike, you know, but like truly
they examined it,
truly convinced, and like Molly couldn't talk them out of it. Like she was like, no, that's Hannah, and they were like, no, it's a picture of Erin. And so just like the whole events leading up to that, and my dirty whiskey joke is in there. And so anyway, it turned out to be like this really, I was like, how am I going to do this homework project? And then like I was in the shower, I came up with the whole thing, and it has like 4 parts, and they all like, you know, have callbacks to each other. I don't know, just like, I think it's something that I am really starting to enjoy doing and would like to like pursue more in a hobby sense, you know? Mm-hmm. Not, you know, it's not something that I have like dreams of like quitting my day job. I like my day job and stuff like that. But, you know, I was in a big hobby kick for a while where I was feeling like I didn't have any. And so I feel like this is a fun thing that I enjoy doing with my spare time. So
I feel like that's the opposite of a kick, but I do get everything else you're saying.
I think she's saying the kick was initiated by the lack of a hobby. Am I right?
The kick was feeling bad about not having any hobbies.
Right.
No, she started a hobby. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right, so I didn't have any hobbies. Somebody asked me, it was like, oh, what do you do in your hobbies? And I was like, is watching Netflix on my phone in my bed a hobby? Because pretty exclusively that.
Did you say explosively?
Exclusively.
Pretty explosively that.
It's explosively watching Netflix on the bed.
Well, you know, I think both exclusively and explosively that. No, because you know, my wife has a lot of hobbies. She's a beekeeper and she does some other stuff. That's not coming to mind now that I just said that.
A lot of hobbies if each bee is considered a hobby.
She has thousands of hobbies.
You know, and that's a big hobby too. Like it takes her to do a lot of bee places. Anyway, so I was feeling
she does have a lot of hobbies.
She has a lot of hobbies. She's an artist. Yeah, she's an artist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was feeling like I didn't have any hobbies, and so this is one of my, you know, one of my hobbies. It's a hobby.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
You have music.
That's
music
true.
Is a hobby.
Yeah, I hadn't been doing much with that lately, but yeah, I'm kind of doing that more too. You know,
it still counts. If you had to prove that music was a hobby, if that's like a thing that happened where people asked you what your hobbies were and then made you prove it, like you'd have a lot of evidence.
You're right. That's true.
Is that a thing people do? Like they ask a hobby and then they're immediately like, prove that that's your hobby. I will not believe you.
Show me a bee. Evidence. Show me a bee right now.
They do that with stand-up though. You should be ready for that because
that's true.
You're like, oh yeah, do a joke right now.
Yeah.
Tell me a joke.
I hope that when you like are making sets to actually do open mics or whatever, that story stays in there because that's one of my favorite stories ever.
It's got a lot more parts. I'll try to record it at my class or whatever because I want you to hear the whole bit because there's some more bits in there that are kind of like exaggerated for, you know.
Yeah.
Comedic effects
for stand-up purposes.
It's very good. It's still just mind-boggling to me.
I thought they were so. I love that you don't have to exaggerate the part that they were actually convinced for so long that it was true and couldn't be talked out of it.
It took far too much convincing to I was like, what? What's the scenario where that's what happens?
I'm like, congratulations! So many congratulations on your wedding. I was just wondering. I just had this really fun idea.
Hannah! Hannah! I'm sorry. I know you were just trying to be with your new husband. You're like, Brand, your husband, but...
And, like, go to your reception and stuff.
But
I know you have your own post-wedding pictures to take. I heard that's a thing people do.
I'm just dying to slip into your wedding dress and pretend I'm in a sexual relationship with your husband.
I forgot, and you also didn't even wear a dress at your own wedding.
Oh, no. I'm not a big dress wearer.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, it's...
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. They've never seen me in a dress. Like, her family, I don't know. I just don't... Maybe that's why. Well,
yeah.
there's another funny portion of this story is that there is a picture of me in my bridesmaid's dress, and a good friend of mine, who's been my friend for many, many years, saw that picture and, like, didn't see me, and, like, then looked at each person and couldn't see me. I was like, invisibility cloak. Like, it was like
dress.
completely disguised. But he's also not recognized me in a baseball cap before, so I feel like that's less.
So maybe like a him thing.
I feel like if I showed up at his door in a dress and a baseball cap, he'd be like, "Get off my lawn! Like, who are you, stranger?" Not interested. What are you obsessed about, Ben?
Yeah, so right now, I'm pretty obsessed with a game that Hannah showed me, actually.
Oh.
And it's called The Resistance.
Oh.
And have you ever heard of it at all, Erin?
I haven't, no.
I'm gonna explain it anyway. So, have you played, like, Mafia?
Mafia? Is that, like, the game in the room where you tickle a palm?
What?
That sounds like a personal game.
Where you tickle a palm?
You know, you, like, shake a hand and tickle a palm. And then if your palm was tickled, you're in the Mafia. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say no. I don't know what that game is.
Okay.
It could be. It could be.
Hannah, do you want to help me explain how Resistance works real quick?
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so, I will, or you can.
Yeah, I'll start, but, like, if I heard
Hannah, do you want to help me? So anyway.
I might need help explaining it.
Okay.
But I'll start. So it's basically a game where at the beginning of the game you're all dealt like a character card, and you're either blue or you're red.
Okay.
Blue means you're on the Resistance. Red means you're a spy.
Yeah.
And if you have like 6 people, for example, there are 4 Resistance members and 2 spies. And your goal is to win 3 missions out of the 5 in the game. And winning
fun.
means, yeah, it's really fun. And so winning as a spy means failing a mission. Winning as Resistance means succeeding the mission. And a different number of people go on each mission. So, like, for example, in the first round, only 2 people go on the mission out of, like, say, the 6 that you have in the game. And so whoever's the captain picks 2 people, and then everyone else votes whether or not they approve that team or reject that team of people.
Okay.
And then once the team's approved, then they're given 1 success and 1 fail card. Mm-hmm. They put it in face down. Whoever's the captain shuffles them up, so we don't know where they came from, and then flips them over. If it's all success, then it succeeds. If there's at least 1 fail, then it fails. So that's basically the gist of the game, of like how it operates. And you try and succeed 3 to win as Resistance. And so where all the fun and debate happens is when you're choosing the teams. Because, so like in the first mission, I think for both 5 and 6 people, only 2 people go on it.
Yeah.
But like when you have 6 people, for example, by the time you get to the 3rd mission, you have 4 people going on it. So you have to pick the 4, if you want it to succeed, you have to figure out who the 2 spies are by that round. Or
by
else
like
you lose.
basically the middle of the game. Like,
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really hard. So like it's really, really hard to not get a fail on that mission. And what I like most about this game is I've now played it with like 4 different groups of people, and it's been entirely different with all these groups of people. So like the first time we played it, it was with Hannah was the first one I played it with because she showed me the game.
Yeah,
and like the rest of our family or like friends people I've been friends with for like since like 2nd grade. So people I know, we all know each other really well. And usually by like the second or 3rd round at latest, we always had a pretty good idea of at least who one of the spies was.
Yep.
Sometimes it would take
that was
like,
interesting. That was fun though because like we hadn't all known each other the same amount of time.
Yeah. But would you say that like It was like a pretty 50-50 win rate between Resistance and Spies winning.
Yeah, I think so. Also, the wild card was kind of Ben's friend Alex, who pretty much his tactic was just to be like, I know Spy, anytime you try to talk to him.
But he would say like different tones of voice, be like, I know Spy.
Yeah.
I know Spy.
I know Spy.
And it made it really hard to be Resistance with him. Oh, I forgot to mention, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, the Spies know who everyone is.
Oh, yeah.
The Resistance doesn't know who
yeah,
the other
so like right at the
they're
beginning
like,
before
they're
you
like
start...
good spies. They're like productive.
Yeah, like they actually, yeah.
They like know
Exactly.
some, they have some intelligence.
Yeah.
They know who each other are, yeah. Like, but so basically, like, before you start doing any of the, like, rounds play that Ben described, everybody closes their eyes, and then only the spies open their eyes and look at each other, and so they know who they are, but nobody else knows who opened their eyes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get a heads up on that kind of thing, like, if you listen really hard with your eyes closed, you can hear people's heads move and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, there's another interesting factor where if you guys reject 5 teams in a row, then the spies automatically win the mission. So once spies can have a strategy where, like, rather than trying to blend in, they can just like try and cause chaos where everyone thinks everyone else is a spy, so everyone keeps rejecting teams because they think a spy is on it.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, like with my family and close friends, it was like 50-50 win rate. Then the second group of people I played with was like a bunch of people that we met through Kylie, and they're all like computer science majors.
Kylie's your girlfriend.
Yeah, Kylie's my girlfriend, by the way. So they're all like very for one, we don't know each other that well. Like, we only know each other for a couple years, and they're all like very logical, very reasonable people. Especially one of our friends who always tries to like figure out the optimal strategy for the game, even though there isn't one, because you never have enough information as Resistance. And with that team, with that group of people, we've played like 15 rounds of that, and including last night, and the spies always win. The Resistance won for the first time yesterday, and it was like a huge deal. We all freaked out because the spies always win. We've had times, like I said, when I'm playing with like close friends, we know usually by the third round we're pretty sure on at least one person. We never know. We've been entirely wrong many times. People blend in so well, and a lot of the times it's trying to like figure out exactly what to strategize that ruins us, because we try and figure out like, well, this person was in this mission and it failed, and then they were on the next one and it succeeded, and well, maybe that means that they're blending in or something. And like, what you really have to pay attention to is how people are behaving,
right?
If they're changing their mind really quickly, like what they're rejecting, what they're accepting,
right? Or like what they're doing different round to
exactly.
like game to game.
That's another thing, is you get this really interesting effect when you play it for a long period of time with the same people, because like last night, my friend Alex, different Alex, but he was a spy for the first time last night at the very last round we played, after like playing 15 or 20 rounds of this game with him. He was always Resistance. And so, like, I, for one, and a few other people we're playing with, just automatically assume he's Resistance. We just, like, believed it right from the start. And he destroyed us. We ended up with both spies on the last mission, because I totally believed him the whole time. Like, it was insane. And then another friend of ours is always a spy.
Yeah.
So, like, we just assume he's a spy.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's so weird how that happens. Like, the time that we played all those games, I was a spy, like, almost every time.
Yeah.
And, like, Kylie and I were spies together. Yeah, it's like you shuffle the cards and deal them out, like the character cards. And yet, these things
you get
happen.
things like that in, like, every group of people.
Yeah.
And then I also played with Kylie's younger siblings.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're, like, I think the youngest one is, like, 11. And they figured out the game pretty quickly, but with them, Resistance almost always won, because they're little kids and they would just give each other away very quickly, give themselves away. There was this really interesting moment, which I just thought was cute, where, her little brother someone put in a fail, and her little brother Nevin was on that mission. And he said, "I swear on my life, I'm not a spy." And immediately her other two siblings threw up their cards and were like, Nevin just ruined the game. Because him swearing on his life actually meant that he was swearing on his life to them. That, like, he was genuinely saying, "I'm not a spy, I swear to God." and like it actually meant something, and they were upset at him for ruining the game.
Wow.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know, I like how I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best strategies for figuring out who people are in this game, but it always just comes back to you need to pay attention to what they're saying and what they're doing, not try and figure out how they voted, which is so counterintuitive.
Which is so like interesting, like when you play with family, like that's like,
exactly.
You just like know these people's faces so well and like their behaviors and stuff that you could be like, like I've never seen you make that face before. You're probably
exactly. And you'd be like, just something's different, and I can't pinpoint it.
I feel I played with. I think we should talk about. I know what you're thinking about, Erin, and we should talk about that too. But I played Resistance with a bunch of Ian's friends. Mm-hmm. When we went to that, we went. I got an Airbnb with a bunch of our friends. I was about to call them the Pilgrims because that's what you guys all know I call our friends, but I don't know.
They're such Puritans.
It's just like a bunch of pilgrims. Because Ian, my husband, used to work at Plymouth Plantation. Let's just be optimistic and assume someone who doesn't know us will listen to this eventually. So, so they all play pilgrims. So, but we rented a house and all were just like hanging out, like doing nerd stuff the whole weekend, like playing board games and puzzles. They did so many puzzles. I can't even fathom how like almost everybody there was like, yeah, let's do a puzzle. We did like 2 or 3 of them. Like I was just like, I was like, where should I put this puzzle? And they were like, how about right in the center of the kitchen island? And I was like, really? Like, is that going to work out? Like, but everybody, it was crazy. It was insane. But
I guess you're easily amused if you're a pilgrim.
Yeah, seriously. But we played Resistance, and the best giveaway that I discovered playing with them, and I would call them like mildly interested beginners, you know, like they were playing because they knew I wanted to play, and because it was like right after we had gone on that rash of playing it, and they were willing to learn, but they weren't like highly invested. And in that type of setting, my best tactic was just to like listen for people saying shit that made no sense at all. Like a couple of different times, and a couple of times it screwed me as a spy too, because one girl just like, she was like, didn't want to get caught, so she put down a succeed when she was a spy, but it was like round 3 and we lost because of it. Like, it doesn't matter if you get caught, if we've already lost if you don't. But anyway, but like, yeah, there was this one girl who just was like, she was trying to point a finger at me, but the stuff she was saying was like such nonsense that I was just like, I'm 100% sure that she's a spy. Like, I know for a fact that she's a spy. But it was interesting with everybody else being new. It kind of worked on a lot of people. Like a lot of people did think I was a spy, even though I was like making a logical argument for why what she was saying made no sense at all. I wish I could remember more details of what it was. Because it wasn't like you had to trust me on it. It was like, it did not make sense.
Yeah. I find I also get suspicious of people that are like way too trusting also. Like, whenever someone looks at me and says like, I know for sure you're Resistance, I immediately get suspicious of them for some reason.
Because like, the only way that they really could know
I
know who the spies are.
I know, technically they couldn't know for sure unless they're actually a spy, but like, it's also... Sometimes when someone else is like making really logical arguments and the general feel of the room is that someone believes them, by you saying like, yeah, I also agree, I know definitely that they're Resistance, you kind of like latch on to their trustworthiness, I guess.
That's true.
And blend in really well. And that happens a lot, where people will kind of like latch on to someone that everyone else is tending to believe in and try and get them to like trust them back.
I'm terrible at these games. I'm such a bad liar. I'm like 100% a bad liar. I like don't know how to act normal.
It's hard. It's really, really stressful to be a spy.
I feel like I'd be like, spy? What?
What's a spy? I don't even know what a spy is.
I don't even know that.
Honestly, the first few times you can play like the feigning ignorance game, and it works really well. We were playing my friend's girlfriend, and she was like, I don't really get how this game works. And she just blended in as a spy really well.
So, Hannah, earlier you were like, Erin, I know what you're thinking. We should talk about that too, but I hadn't said anything. What do you think I was thinking about?
That game, that's one of the Jackbox games.
Oh,
the one where you have to, like, lie.
Yeah, that one's
so faking it?
Yeah, faking it. Which I've never been the faker once on that game.
Really?
That's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so hard.
It looks really hard.
Really hard. That's even harder than being a spy in Resistance.
Yeah. Because there's no... it's hard to be tactical. Like, it's so quick.
To back up, this is a game from the creators of You Don't Know Jack. And it's like a online... It's fun. It's like an online party game. We were obsessed with this at Thanksgiving last year. We were like completely obsessed with it. But you can get... I guess you have to buy it, but then everybody... It's brilliant. You can play with up to like 8 people, and everybody accesses it on their phone with a party code. And then, so you can be sitting all around the living room, and everybody can play.
It's super clever. It spread like wildfire within my group of friends, too. They've all, like, bought it, because it's just fun.
And one of them was called the Faker, and one person in the group would be a faker, and I was just the most terrible faker.
You sometimes get really unlucky with it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
One of the questions was, like, about... I forget, it was like someone most likely to get a dog in the next like year or some shit, like something related to a dog, getting a dog soon. And for anyone that knows, or no one that's hopefully no one's listening to this will know my girlfriend, but she loves dogs. And like the question, and she didn't raise her hand when it was like something about loving dogs, and it was just immediately obvious because of course she would. She's obsessed with dogs and like wants one as soon as possible. You know.
Are you guys getting a dog?
Hopefully nobody that's listening to this knows my girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we get an audience that doesn't know us.
Well, I mean, our friends can listen to it.
No, I don't want anyone I know to listen to this.
Well, right now,
I'm not allowed to.
Right now, I ruled out Lucas, your middle brother, and your dad because after all that talk about not hearing Trump, now I've said it twice. God damn it!
You know, I don't want to speak of Trump too much, but do you guys know Super Deluxe?
Yeah.
Like the taco?
Their YouTube channel now. I don't know. Just like the taco. They have a YouTube channel. I don't know if like there was something bigger a while ago, right? I feel like you showed them to me years ago.
They were a website.
There was like a website. Yeah. I don't know if they're still a website, but they have a funny YouTube channel.
Who are they?
They do a lot.
Are they a couple
Super Deluxe
tacos?
Yeah, Super Deluxe.
Who are they?
Taco company.
Is it like 2 people? Is it like a few?
I don't know. The production quality is so good on all their videos that it makes me think they're like a pretty large operation.
I think they got bought is what I think happened. It used to be just like mostly animated content. Like that's where I first saw the...
Is that where Brad Neely was from?
Yes, that's what I was trying to remember. Yeah. He was on Super Deluxe.
That's how I know him.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so different now. But like the thing that and they have a lot of videos I don't really care about, like ASMR stuff. But they have a lot of
what the fuck is up with ASMR?
Funny edits of Trump speeches and various other like Trump related videos that are just hilarious. And they're all done by Vic Berger. Edited by this guy named Vic Berger who works at Super Deluxe. And
their website, there is a website here now. I swear in the middle, there wasn't. In the middle of the time between then and now.
I thought that was like a new thing to swear on. Like
I swear in the middle.
I swear in the middle.
I swear right down the middle.
Like they did a video that was just all of Sean Spicer's little like misspeaks in his first like week on the job. It was so funny.
Are they the people behind like accordion Trump?
Yeah, things like they have like there's this theme that Vic Berger always does where whenever Trump is walking out, he like plays an air horn really loud. Just imagine every time Trump walks to the podium, it's like. Bah!
That sounds good.
Check. Check it out. I feel like we should like give our listeners like homework based on our obsessions or something like that, which would have been a good thing to bring up before we were recording our episode.
No, that's a good idea though. Like if you want to learn more about any of these things and kind of just like give some information, places where they could go. Yeah,
well, you should go. You go first, Hannah. I guess you gave the website.
Yeah, the website for all the McElroys projects kind of in one place is McElroyshows.com. It's McElroy shows.com.
If you want to see them in person, head over to Hannah's crawl space.
No, it's like a super normal level of obsession, I promise. I just appreciate their content. I forgot to mention, I think I've mentioned it both to you guys off podcast, but they're really good friends with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I was trying to figure out why.
With.
Well, they're good in my book, then.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out why, and it turns out the reason is that he's a fan of their podcast, and so they just got like in touch through the podcast, and now they're good friends.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah. So like if we make a good podcast, we could be best friends with Lin-Manuel. He actually does seem to listen to a ton of podcasts, but that's not why we're doing this.
He has a large commute.
What? From
I don't know.
Where? Washington Heights to Broadway?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find everything there about the McElroys.
Their Seeso show.
Oh, yeah, and they have a great... Ian called it... He said it's like really high budget local access TV is how he described it.
But a compliment.
I know he meant it in a good way. But it's very funny, and they recorded it. Another thing that I think is very sweet is that they made a point of basically insisting that they wanted to record the show in their hometown of Huntington, West Virginia, because they wanted to, try to benefit the community that they came from. So
that's really
nice
cool.
Too.
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, Erin, how about you?
Erin, where do you find stand-up?
Erin,
just
Erin,
stand up.
Where can we see your show? Where can we see your where can we see your stand-up?
I don't know.
Where can we see your story about my wedding?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe I'll record it sometime, and we could include it as a bonus, like a Easter egg to this show, to the shit. I would say homework on my end. If you haven't listened to Tig Notaro, has a lot of stuff on Spotify. Her Live album is on there. It's really good. Her I don't know, there's another album of hers called Good One on there, which is good. And her newest album, Boyish Girl Interrupted, which actually saw her live when she came through on that tour to Durham, is also on there. And they're all really funny. And so watch those. And also Cameron Esposito's Marriage Material special, which is on Seeso. And it might be on Spotify, I haven't looked. Is also really good. So check those out. Ben.
Play Resistance.
Why not? Where do I get that? It's like the internet.
You can get it on Amazon. It's called. There's a really funny Amazon review for it because when we were buying it, we were trying to make sure we're getting the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I forget why that led us to the reviews exactly, but one of the reviews.
You just put in a question, is this the right one? Is this the one I played with Hannah that one time?
Google was like, yes.
Well, actually, one of the reviews we read was about someone getting the wrong version when they ordered it. And it was like, I got the version where there is the blonde woman on the front who is not smiling. And that's the one we got. So that's like what we refer to this one as. So if you want the good one, get the Resistance with the blonde woman on the front who is not smiling.
Okay, cool.
Noted. What? Actually, let me write that down. Underline not a couple times.
Also listen to S-Town.
She's smiling.
That's good.
Oh, S-Town, yeah.
All right. Well, who wants to do the sign off?
I think you do.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Sayonara.
Signing off.
Should we have like a saying obsess you later? No.
I'll see you in my crawl space later.
Okay.
I gotta go feed the McElroy Brothers. Catch y'all later. Toodles.
Thank you.